Carried. Tēnā korua.
Tēnā koutou. Kia ora. Thank you. Thank you.
Local board input. Member Harry Doige will be coming in about 1 o'clock, but he'll be speaking at the item in confidential. So that's this one. And then we invite representatives from the Henderson Massey Local Board. And if the three of them want to come up, that'll be great. Tēnā koutou katoa, tēnā koe te rangatira Doctor, rawa ko Brooke, rawa ko Brenda. Ngā mihi kia koutou katoa. Kia ora nā.
Tēnā koe te amana matua Alf Malo le soifua. Tēnā koutou I ngā kai kaunihira o Tāmaki Makaurau. Ko Wolf Level tōku ingoa. My name is Wolf Level. I'm the Deputy Chair of the Henderson Massey Local Board, and alongside are my colleagues, board members Brooke Loader and Brenda Brady. Over the last 4 terms, the Henderson Massey Local Board have been very consistent with advocating for an aquatic centre in the northwest. West Wave is at capacity and underfunded and is well overdue for an overhaul. The facility is used by communities from all over Tāmaki Makaurau, Auckland. New populations, the size of Hamilton, are moving into areas such as Red Hills and Westgate. Therefore, there needs to be appropriate infrastructure and services to cater for the strong growth in the northwest area. As a former secondary school teacher in West Auckland, many students and their whānau would complain about the long queues, sometimes over an hour, to get into West Wave, especially during the school holidays. They would also complain about the high usage and the deteriorating facilities. I personally stopped going to West Wave many years ago. Henderson Massey is also a high area of deprivation for our tamariki Māori and our whānau Māori as well. So I guess we're here to show our tautoko, our support for the development of a business case for an aquatic centre in the northwest with the additional 2 full-sized indoor courts. And I'll hand it over to my colleagues to add further input. Kia ora.
Kia ora everyone. Thank you, Councillor Alf. Thank you everyone. We are urging you to support the investigation and site planning, the next stage for the Northwest Aquatic Centre. I can tell you the story. In 1990, New Zealand hosted the Commonwealth Games. The aquatic centre at Henderson was built in 1990 out of the old Plessy factory. So it is a very old facility. In 2003, the leisure pools were created. 2003 is the last major renovation that's been done and last upgrade that's really been done on that pool. Our community loves West Wave, but it's struggling to even cope, even with the best efforts of council and all our work. Hundreds of thousands of dollars a year are being spent on West Wave to keep it running. We only have one public pool serving about 250,000 people in the west. There are continual breakdowns and maintenance. We will be getting a very good update on that next year as we move into the new year. There's a program of renewals, but it's not ever going to be sufficient to serve the new growth in the northwest. West Wave was designed for the old west, the Henderson from the 1990s, the early 2000s, the area of the west families flock to now. Growth in the northwest and the land opening up for housing is meaning that Westgate is a metropolitan centre. We can't even hope to serve that area with the West Wave pool. I hope that you're able to support us in having the rest of the piece of work done so that we can get the actual information on the best site and then urge council to move forward. Thank you.
This isn't just a novel or bright idea to us. It's not just a nice to have. If you're talking about equitable provision of aquatic services across Auckland regionally, we have no aquatics facility that's servicing our northwest catchment. We've got the beautiful West Coast beaches on our footstep. but we don't have aquatic full pool facilities to teach our little ones how to swim safe in the water. The Henderson Massey Local Board is unified in our position that the indicative business case clearly demonstrates this need, but more importantly, we are here today at the urging of our community, who for too long now have been calling out for a new pool in the West. This is our one local initiative, and we've strongly advocated for this in terms of the long-term plan. And we support that's taking all steps necessary to progress this project, but honestly, we are extremely but disappointed that the business case states that it's not until 2031 to 41 that the first spades will go into the ground. Who knows? By then some of us won't even be around the table. We thank you so much for your support so far for this kaupapa, but nevertheless, we want to see less talk, more action, and so we urge our councillors today to vote in favour of these recommendations provided for the indicative business case to fund the next step for aquatic provision in the North West. Thank you for the opportunity.
Tēnā koe. Ko mutu. Look, pātai, I've got two at the moment. Councillor Henderson, followed by Councillor Newman.
Thanks, Masua. So a key issue with this kind of stuff is catchment areas. So a question for me, do you foresee a pool in the Northwest as serving a sub-regional purpose for Rodney and Upper Harbour communities as well as Henderson Massey communities?
It's been identified in the business case study that this will be a sub-regional aquatic provision, and it will be servicing the needs of not just Henderson Massey, which we're here speaking on behalf of, but for the wider Northwest. So yes, I agree.
Thanks. Just one supplementary, if that's okay, Chair. Given Westwave is the only pool servicing 250,000 people, presumably that's a lot of residents. But in addition to the residents using the pool, are there any other user groups using the pool?
It's our only Auckland competitive dive pool. It is also very well thought after because I understand being a standalone dive area is very sought after with international divers. It's a fast water, so it's a race. It's a racing pool. There's a lot of swimming clubs operate out of there. I think there it's in competitive sport that's its main advantages. There are other aquatic facilities around Auckland, but they don't offer that. It has a regional role as well.
Councillor Newman, then Sayers, then Dalton, then Walker.
Thank you all. Well, I'm probably a question for you, but I will be asking this of the officers. I mean, the lack of facilities in your area is palpable, and I just think how lucky I am. I reflect so often about the gaps that we want to address in the south, but I think of the facilities we've got in the ward that Councillor Dalton and I represent, and it's really good compared to what you face here. So, understanding the growth that is occurring and the development that has been consented and the new population growth, and Councillor Cooper has advocated very firmly for your constituency for a long time, where are the development contributions going for this particular part of Auckland? What are the facilities that are scheduled to be funded from growth to address these gaps? If it's not here, where are they? Because somebody's paying something to somebody for something, but it's not this. So what is it funding?
My understanding, and all of you are probably working in this area more often than I am, is that pools and aquatic centres were not being funded from development contributions for quite some time. And I look to a council officer or someone else. So it has changed recently, but in the meantime, there's been a huge amount of growth in the Northwest.
Yeah, I accept that the pool isn't there, but hasn't been funded, but there must be something that is being funded. I don't know if there's a schedule somewhere with some facilities that are being funded that I'm not aware of, but what are they?
Councillor Newman, if I may respond. This has recently come up, not in as much detail as you would be anticipating, much of course, our estate as well, but in terms of the development in the area, a key development area is, Councillor Cooper may have already been raised, is the Red Hills development here, at the north of our Henderson Massey local board area. Now, when we've been spoken to by council officers on this, the development contributions needed to be ring-fenced and prioritised for projects at the beginning of these developments. They were not ring-fenced for aquatic provision in the northwest, which was the advice that we had received, but we hadn't been provided the detail about what those development contributions were actually scheduled towards. So yes, it is something that we should follow up.
Okay, well, Chair, look, just to foreshadow when the officers come to present, I will be checking the schedule of that policy to have a look at those, the schedule of projects, and hopefully they can elucidate on that, because it's a germane question to this.
Yeah, no problems at all, because I saw Kataraina indicate. So the best thing is they know what's coming. So Councillor Sayers, Dalton and then Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, team, for your presentation. Probably Councillor Henderson addressed what I was going to talk about the sub-regional benefit there. But I think what I just would give you some feedback as a local board, that both within the first week of this council's term, both your councillors called the Albany and the Rodney Ward councillors into a meeting to agree on the importance of your Ollie, and it's pleased that it's there. I'm certainly supportive of it, but I just want to really feedback to you the good work and lobbying that your councillors have done at their level with the other councillors.
Okay,
Thank you
so
very much for your continued support of this.
Councillor Dalton, Walker, and then I can put the recommendation that will be moved by Henderson, Councillors Henderson and Cooper.
Thank you. Absolutely a gap, and you do need a pool. You've made it through the hoops of the policy, so that's a good start. So my question is around the timing though. So you're saying that it's not looking to be built until 2031, was that what it was? My question is around the development of the business case. So having been the recipient of business cases where they sit and then they have to be redone, is the timing of the business case right in terms of when it can be delivered? Can't be delivered until it's into the LTP. Have you had a discussion around the timing so you don't have to go back and then do another business case, because there's quite a cost to it?
We haven't had a discussion on that detail. We've come through your agendas and actually been informed by the agendas that the time frame for the aquatic centre has been pushed out because of your budget constraints. So that's where the 2031-41 figure came from. There is no way in the world the need won't be greater even in the next couple of years. There's huge growth going on in the northwest. The northwest is taking 1/3 of Auckland's growth. That's what our AUP says, and the developers are already working on most of that land. We also have the Metropolitan Centre. It's developing very strongly at Westgate. So there is no way the need will be less in a few years, that the need will certainly be greater.
How much is it? How much is a pool? Do you know? You don't know. Not an estimate? Does anyone know?
Yeah, but we don't need to buy the land. We don't need
30?
to buy the land.
We need a 30, okay.
But we don't need to buy the land.
Thank you.
But a couple of questions. The first one follows on from the question that Councillor Newman raised about development contributions. Given that development contributions are dependent on projects that have been identified, I really want to know whether there is a project identified, irrespective of what the location or locations are, and there could be multiple projects that go to this, that are feeding into our development contributions. The necessity around that is if you don't have the project and don't have the commitment of the project, and then that project is not projectised and incorporated into the long-term plan, you don't have the development contributions. So
that's the first question?
that's the first question. It may not be possible. It may not be possible to answer that question now, but I really would like that feedback because it goes to the long-term plan.
So can we wait for the item? That might be an idea that you can pose to the officers. Wayne, and your second question, please.
My second question can wait till the item, Mr. Chair.
Oh, thank you. Councillor Bartley to finish off this item.
Oh, kia ora. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kia ora, talofa. I just wanted to tautoko your presentation and your request. In Maunga Kiki Tamaki, I got 3 pools. Yeah. So I really feel for where you guys are coming from, and if my community were waiting longer than an hour to get into the pool, man, I would hear it. Currently, I'm hearing it about Eastern Busway, and yeah, I really feel for you guys. I want to second the comments made by Councillor Sayers in regards to the advocacy of your councillors. They have done a really good job in raising this, and I feel like I am, hearing it all the time about how bad it is over in your area regarding the pools. I even had to hear it on a personal level on a date that I was with this guy from Torbay who was complaining about how long it is to get into your pools. So, just want to support what you guys are raising.
I'll allow. Well, there's two microphones on, but I'll allow one person to comment, and then we can then end this particular one. I'll put the recommendation.
I just want to say my go-to. Would you like to close? I just want to say quickly, I go to your pools, so I totally understand and love your pools over there. But anyway, I'll just leave it up to Deputy Chair Will Flavel to close.
Two of yous will be commenting.
Yeah, just thank you, Councillor Bartley, for your entertaining comments. It always sort of make us laugh, so we appreciate that. Yeah. We appreciate our councillors who we know are always working hard to ensure that that we keep the West as the best place to live in Tamaki Makaurau, Auckland. Tēnā koutou katoa, kia ora.
Ka pai. Me rikirihi me te tauhau. And I will put the recommendation. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. No extraordinary businesses. We move straight into our first agenda. Tēnā